It's a leading social impact investment group changing the U.S. school system. And today I'm sitting down with its managing partners, Andre Agassi and Bobby Turner, to find out about their journey to the top. I'm Jacki Bryk, and this is Corner Office Confidential.
You have to make yourself live every day with achievable, bite-sized goals.
Recognize that your definition of success will change with life.
We have a tennis star and a real estate pioneer. That is an incredibly unique partnership. How does that work? How does that play out?
The truth is that he is a person that brought me into his world, and I'm a person that brought him into my world, and it overlaps in this real unique space. So we have gone out, pioneered a new fund that addresses one of the most important areas in the growth of best-in-class charter school operators' footprint. And I've lived it for 15 years with my own foundation through philanthropy. He's lived a lot of capitalistic, I don't know, how would you call it, endeavors. And the truth is they can really work together when you address societal issues through market forces.
So we came together because we shared a passion and a frustration for a common societal issue, which was public education. So I think what we realized, both Andre and myself, coming from very different perspectives, his from the perspective of being a philanthropist, and mine from the perspective of being a capitalist, that if you wanted to treat some of the daunting challenges in society, be it healthcare, be it education, be it housing, if you want to treat them, then philanthropy and government are just fine. But if you want to really cure and create sustainable solutions, you need to harness market forces to capture and create sustainable solutions. And you can't have that or have a platform to do that without both perspectives, a capitalist and a philanthropist. And there's the symbiotic relationship where Andre spent 15 years of his life as a philanthropist in education, and I spent 30 years of my life as a capitalist in the real estate infrastructure business.
So you work really symbiotically, as you said before, but you do have the differing backgrounds. How do you transition into a totally different field? I mean, you were in tennis and philanthropy, and now you're mostly in philanthropy, and Bobby, you were in real estate.
Well, I think there's a lot of rules, fundamental rules that apply to be successful really in any walk of life. And one of the things that tennis has taught me a great discipline is how to take step by step, control what you can, never miss every step in front of you, and that builds a lot of momentum for yourself. So I've developed a lot of that mental discipline and capacity inside the court of tennis, and now just apply it to the other passions and other outlets that obviously I value greatly. So we just knock it down one day at a time.
Yeah, I'd like to think that we haven't changed, we've evolved. And both of us take our EQs, which is our experience from our history and our knowledge and our wisdom from having successes and also having made mistakes historically, and we use that knowledge to make better decisions as we roll out our plans to make meaningful change.
I'm sure both of you in your careers have experienced failure, but the difference between a successful person and someone who's unsuccessful is that they're able to pick themselves back up from failure and be the comeback kid. Can you explain how you guys have done that?
You fail a lot more than you actually succeed. I mean, you have to problem solve to really be successful at anything. And I think also too, starting with defining success. I think a lot of people make a mistake right out of the blocks. People make a mistake of defining success as some sort of landing spot or some sort of destination. But the truth is, success is about how you choose to engage with your life. And part of life, unfortunately, is those setbacks. And so you develop that muscle that helps you deal with those setbacks, and you use it to make yourself better. And you also don't get ahead of yourself in your successes. You use those successes as a way to fundamentally make that part of your platform and foundation and to build from. So you don't over-dramatize the losses, you don't over-dramatize the successes. You go about your work and you engage with your life in a disciplined day-by-day activity. And it's amazing how much real estate you cover as a result.
And for me, my biggest failure was not recognizing sooner in my career that money was not the only element or measurement of success. What I proved to myself later in life was that the only thing that wealth guaranteed me was a more comfortable form of misery. So with that knowledge and that experience, and I think that wisdom comes with age. You can't be wise as a young man. You can only be, wisdom is wasted on the old as opposed to the young. I think it took me a number of years to realize that for my legacy, it wasn't going to be how much change I had in my pocket, but rather how much change I made in the world. And Andre helped really clarify the opportunity for me.
How do you deal with an opponent? That opponent can be yourself. You are your own worst enemy, or someone, a coworker or a boss.
I think that when you have opponents, one of the greatest things, if you share a common goal, is to disarm them. One of the things that Andre and I found is that originally we were opponents. Andre questioned me as to how one could truly be a philanthropist and make money. I questioned Andre as how can he truly be a philanthropist without having the desire to really scale. But by recognizing the context from where we each came, we were able to disarm each other and recognize that we had a common goal. So an opponent can actually be an adversary, it can be an ally, depending upon whether or not you're approaching the mission long-term or short-term. We have a long-term mission to make meaningful change in the area of education. The only way we could do that was by forming this interdependent relationship.
I think strength in any activity, whether it be sports or business, is to first and foremost understand your own strengths and weaknesses and recognize that admitting your weaknesses is one heck of a strength, because knowing what you have to work around, knowing what you're susceptible to sort of failing at is a big step. Avoiding it, the best way to heal an injury is to avoid it, never have it in the first place, and surround yourself with a team that can really strengthen the areas that you find yourself a little bit deficient in, and that starts with your own recognition of your strengths and weaknesses, and then that gives you a better lens, I believe, to recognize the strengths and weaknesses of others, and that's important in how you structure that dynamic.
One of the key parts of fundraising is really earning trust in your investors. Not just trust in the work that you're doing, but trust in that they should trust in you. How do you build that trust?
It's with time. I mean, you can't buy trust, you can't create trust, you can only earn trust, and that comes with a legacy, that comes with a history of demonstrating an alignment of interest. I mean, one of the disappointing things about the industry that we are in is there seems to be a lack of alignment of interest. There seems to be almost not a disrespect, but a lack of realization that while we love owning our own business, we don't work for ourselves. We work for our investors. We have a fiduciary responsibility to be transparent, to be honorable, to be honest, and to recognize that we're very, very fortunate in the position that these investors put us in, the opportunity to make meaningful change. So again, trust is not bought; it's earned over time. Andre has earned the trust of thousands of kids whose lives he's changed. I've been able to earn, luckily, the trust of hundreds and hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars of investors' money by proving that there's integrity, there's morality, there's a commitment to not necessarily making the money, but make sure we never lose the money.
You can build trust in a couple of decades, and you can screw it up in an afternoon. So to never lose perspective about that, you got to always do what you say, and make sure you only say what it is you're going to do.
What would you say are the key do's and don'ts of a pitch?
Oh, I would say that it's like winning something in a sporting arena. It's a byproduct of doing a lot of things. You can't pretend like you care about something. You can't pretend like you're going to work hard at something. You got to get out there and put in the hard yards. And the byproduct of that is that W, is that win. My experience up to date in this world of fundraising is care about what you do, commit to it, be willing to do more than you're ever asking for, and the result of it will be the fact that you've raised dollars.
I think the one thing that we share in common is the recognition is that we cannot afford to fail. The consequences, when we raised funds historically, might be to build, a community-serving shopping center in somewhere in the country. The failure to not raise money for that is very different than the failure to raise money to build great quality charter schools in some of the worst neighborhoods. People talk about, how at risk we are as a society because of the great disparity between those who have and those who have not. The disparity of wealth, where 1% controls 99% and 99% controls 1%. I actually don't think that's the problem in society. I think that what we've lost is not the disparity of wealth, but it's the disparity of hope. Because historically, the 99% were okay with only owning 1% as long as they felt that they had the opportunity to become part of the 1%. When you take away that hope, when you take away that fair and level playing field, that's when we create real civil and societal unrest.
Really about getting out there and doing the work that you need to do. Are Are there any other ingredients for success?
You have to make yourself live every day with achievable bite-sized goals. And that's what we do on a daily basis. We live this. We know it. Philanthropically, I've raised $175 million of philanthropy. Doing this, we've raised twice as much as that already in just a few short years. What took me 2 decades has taken us just a few years. So you constantly put yourself in a position where you say, what can I do today to take a necessary step closer to my goals and objectives, which gets down the way you choose to engage with your life. I mean, I think that's crucial in being successful, knowing how you're going to define it so that every day you can experience that level of progress.
Yeah, and be flexible enough to recognize that your definition of success will change with life. I think that, when you graduated the world of tennis, you were at a crossroads of how are you going to define the next sense of accomplishments and success. When I graduated from college 30 odd years ago, success for me was going to be how much wealth or how much change I had created for myself. Versus as you grow older, as you get again wiser, being able to recognize what will make you happy. Also recognize that your definition of success may not be someone else's definition of success, and don't allow the general public to influence your definition of success.
Who have been the biggest influencers in your lives?
Andre Agassi.
I mean, how do you your first male influence is your father, right? So it was ingrained in my DNA, both from nature and also from nurture, on how to apply myself and the standard that I should expect of myself, and that sort of perfectionism. And then you head in you grow up and you meet the partner of your dreams, and they continue to shine light on and teach you. And then you run into partners that like Bobby, who become much more than just a business partner. It becomes a friend, and becomes an inspiration, and becomes an opportunity for you to just expand your horizons, look at the world differently, build new dreams and objectives. I mean, you're constantly being motivated and changed by your environment if you're open to it.
I'm not sure that I can add. I mean, to me, the biggest influences in my life have been my children, because they've changed the way I describe what my legacy is to be.
Can you look back at your former self in your former careers, and what would you advise that person?
I'd advise that person to recognize that intellectual quotient is important, but emotional quotient is equally as important. That learning from those who may not be as smart as you but have significantly more wisdom and more experience can be as rewarding, if not more important, to the trajectory of your career than just surrounding yourself with people of great intelligence. Great wisdom is equally as powerful.
Yeah, I'd probably tell myself when I look back, don't have so much arrogance that you're always trying to reinvent the wheel. Learn in 10 minutes what took other people 10 years, and it's a great thing. Steal the best practices in life, best practices in business, and also be willing to give them away.
The best practice in business. So this was the wisdom I got from my father years ago. He said to me that the first $1 million is by far the most difficult to make, right? It's impossible to make the first. The second million is significantly easier. So if you really want to be smart as a businessman, go out and make your second million first. Then go back and make the first million later in your career.
That's why when I go to a coffee shop, I order my second cup of coffee first. It doesn't cost me anything.
So you're prepared. All right, thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.